All right. Today we're going to be talking about the psychology of the seventh house in astrology, giving you the full meaning explained. First, we're going to be going through the psychological components of the seventh house so you get a more detailed, granular look at what this area of the chart represents in your life in a psychological way. And then we're going to go through the quality, how to assess if the seventh house is healthy or unhealthy or what that looks like, and then how to evaluate it, how to see that in a birth chart. But you can also just look at your life and to see, okay, when it comes to the seventh house, do I align more with the healthy description or the unhealthy description? Okay. So the seventh house is a comma angle. Comma houses, as we explained already with the third house, is all about our desires and our social aspects, because when it comes to the desires, the major ones, they usually involve other people, or they involve interacting with other people to achieve those desires, to achieve those goals, to fulfill that hunger. It is the more, let's say, sensual desires and fulfillment. Pleasure is another aspect of karma. It is a pleasure principle in the astrological birth chart. So that's what karma represents. Really simple. It's just pleasure, social, desires, hunger, things like that. Pleasure fulfillment, fulfilling our pleasure through the karma houses 3, 7, 11. And that is done through socializing or interacting with other human beings. It's also an angle. Angle is the powerhouse houses, the powerhouses, where there's the most action, where there's the most energy and vitality. It's where you initiate things. First house is where you take that first action. Fourth house is when you take that first action from your idea, from your vision, your inspiration. Fourth house, you take those actions based off your emotions, is that emotional energy, the emotional awareness, the emotional driving force. Seventh house is that pleasure driving force, or that social driving force, meaning you're taking actions to fulfill your desires, to fulfill desires, and also to initiate social interactions and exchanges. And this usually manifests, right, through a synthesis of taking actions for pleasure through sex, dating, relationships, partnerships, and intimate relationships, but more of like a strong bond. So this can also be friendships. It doesn't have to be, when I say partnerships, it doesn't have to be a sexual or romantic dynamic. It also can be you and your best friend, or you or a very close companion who are in equals, not necessarily family, but just equals, in equal exchange. It's all about exchange, these karma houses too, because they are related to the air signs, right? 3rd, 7th, 11th, all air signs. So the karma houses, angles, it's that social powerhouse where you're fulfilling your pleasures, fulfilling your desires, moving towards what you want most. In this incarnation is going to be signified, or let's say represented, by the 7th house. So when you have planets in the 7th house, also, interestingly enough, because it is the opposite house, the 7th house, from the 1st house, which is you, 7th house is your partner, your mirror, these planets will be reflected in your relationships, in your partnerships, and also the planets you use to achieve or initiate fulfillment of your pleasures, or to move towards your pleasures, to take action towards your pleasures, right? Put energy for it and to initiate yourself towards the things that you desire the most, or initiate the social interactions or the exchanges with other people that will get you toward the things that you want the most. Okay? Another interesting thing too is also these are the planets that you are magnetically drawn to, because they are furthest from you. These are the things that you will see in your partners or your relationships. These are the planets that you will see in the person that is mirroring themselves. And so you have, example would be like Jupiter there. You will find goodness in your relationships. This can be difficult. This is why Jupiter has low Digbala there, because if you're looking for the goodness, the purpose, the meaning, the creativity, and the abundance in your relationships and somebody else, it means you feel that is separate from you. You need somebody else to access those states. Okay? So planets here can be good and bad, right? If you have good planets here, you can manifest relationships that are more healthy, more easily, but you might have to rely on fulfilling your desires through other people more so, as opposed to feeling like you have that inherently within yourself, which would be more of an indication if they were in the Dharma houses, which is the self houses. They are part of your core. They're part of you. Social houses, about other people or interchanging with other people. Okay? Fulfilling that pleasure, that desire. So, to assess the quality, a healthy seventh house looks like somebody who is able to take action towards the things that they want, to initiate healthy relationships or attract healthy partners, where there is a equal dynamic, meaning that both parties are getting at least the bare minimum of what they want, and the relationship itself leads to a gain for both parties, meaning that it is a win-win scenario. It is a harmonious scenario. There's not a lot of conflict. There's not a lot of contention. Okay? And somebody who naturally is able to socialize with others, interact with others, especially in a one-on-one kind of interaction. Doesn't mean you have to be like the life of the party or just walking around holding space for everybody and just being the center of attention. It just mostly means that you can walk into somebody, talk to them, and really connect with them. And then you can walk to somebody else. Or you just have really good partnerships where people walk away when interacting with you feeling like they got the good end of the stick. Doesn't have to be the better end. A lot of times they will feel like that. But both parties actually leaving saying, okay, I gained something from that interaction. So if you have a healthy seventh house, this is what you'll see when you're exchanging information, exchanging bodily fluids, exchanging loving things, loving glances. You're going to feel like, oh, okay, this is an equal dynamic. An unhealthy seventh house obviously will be the opposite, where you might feel like you're getting screwed over in relationships, like you feel like you're not attracting the right partners, whether they be business partners, very close friends, or romantic partners. You feel like, for whatever reason, they're just not what I'm looking for. There's missing something, or something's not going right in the relationship, or they're downright toxic or destructive relationships and dynamics where you're really getting fucked over. Okay? These are things that involve the seventh house when it's unhealthy. And you might feel socially inhibited. You might feel sexually inhibited because seventh house represents our sex. So it's our inhibition or ability to initiate in a dating world, a sexual world, or a romantic world, a world of partnerships and relationships. Can you take action? Can you initiate? Or do you have to wait? Or do you feel inhibited? Do you feel repressed in these areas? That's going to be more unhealthy. That's going to be more of an unhealthy relationship manifestation. And ironically enough, even when the seventh house is healthy, it can be difficult because that means that a lot of healthy stuff or a lot of good things are reliant on you being in a relationship. So when you're not in a relationship, you're not getting those healthy things. You're not getting those things that you desire and benefit from in an exchange. But it does help you because it forces you to then exchange with other people and be sociable. Because this is why we're born on this planet with all these different people and all these different accents and cultures and skin colors and perspectives, is because we're meant to interact with each other. This is why babies will literally die if they don't get enough attention, why you literally get sick or die early if you don't have, relationships, intimate relationships, or just healthy partnerships and exchanges with other people. We are social beings. So it's not always the worst thing to have good planets in the seventh. It can be difficult when you go through a breakup or when things don't go the right way or when you're, inevitably alone at some point in time. But at the end of the day, life is about interacting with other monkeys, seeing what's good, learning about ourselves through people, through the mirror, seventh house, looking at them, looking at us, looking at them, and learning about ourselves. And they learn about themselves. And everyone leaves wiser, hopefully. Not always, but hopefully. That's the goal. Unhealthy, probably going to be harder to leave the relationships feeling wiser and smarter. And to evaluate the seventh house, you look at, obviously, the planets in the seventh house. You look at the Lord of the sign holding the seventh cusp, or the seventh sign itself, you're doing whole sign. And finally, you look at Venus. Surprise, surprise, you look at Venus. Venus is that relationship planet. It's all about relationships, win-win, scenarios, harmony, exchanges, okay? Exchanging with the outside, going out, also pleasure, right? Sensual pleasure, emotion, or not emotional, but aesthetic pleasure and material pleasure, sensual pleasure. That's Venus. So look at Venus, the Lord, and the seventh house to assess how your seventh or how your relationships are doing, or how your exchanges are doing. If you're having questions, right? I mean, usually, again, you can just look at your life. How are your relationships going? Do you need astrology to determine this? Not really. You can do it faster and maybe more, I wouldn't say objectively, but more detached, in a more detached way, where you can look at it from a more clear lens, because sometimes it can be difficult to assess, wait, do I attract toxic partners? Am I a good partner myself? Are these exchanges win-win, or am I getting messed over, or am I making excuses for myself? Sometimes you get caught up in our own head, especially if the seventh house is unhealthy. There'll be a lot of rationalizations of why things are not going the way you would like them to be going in your relationships, in your dating life, in your sex life, in your business trades, partnerships, etc., etc. Okay? So that was the psychology of the seventh house. Appreciate your time. If it resonated with you, or if you have experiences you'd like to share, or you have questions, more than willing to answer them down below. I do my best to answer every single comment, though it may take me some time. And in the next video, we're going to be doing the psychology of the eighth house, which is going to be intense, because that is what the eighth house represents. Intense shit. But we're doing all the houses. So if you haven't seen the other videos, go check them out. 1 through 6 has already been done. Obviously, now we're at 7. Next video, we do the eighth house psychology. Cheers.